Hello and a very warm welcome to this channel. My name is Marlene and I'm an HR expert from Berlin. In this channel we're going to be talking about all topics related to relocation and settling in Germany, with particular focus on Berlin. If you're interested in that topic, make sure to follow my channel so you're not going to miss any new videos. I'm going to post new videos every Tuesday. Just a disclaimer before we get started. I'm not a lawyer, so I cannot give you any legal expert advice. I will share my experience with you and my knowledge, but if you do need legal advice, please make sure you're going to consult with a lawyer. Now let's get started. Today we will talk about health insurances. And in Germany we have two different kind of health insurances: mandatory public health insurance and private health insurance. It is mandatory to have health insurance, but you can choose under certain circumstances which kind of insurance you would like. So if you're an employee and you earn less than 64,000 euros, then you are going to be part of the mandatory public health insurance. If you earn more than that, you have the choice. You can be either publicly health insured or privately health insured. Same goes if you are working as a freelancer or you have your own business, then you can also choose between public and private health insurance. In this video, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each type of insurance so that you can make the best decision for yourself. Now let's talk about the advantages of being publicly health insured. Number one, the costs are stable. You're going to pay the same percentage no matter if you're 25 or 45 or 65 years old. The percentage is going to be applied to your gross salary. So if you have a gross salary of, let's say, 30,000 euros, 14.6% of that amount is going to be paid to the health insurance. However, half of it is going to be paid by you from your gross salary and the other half is going to be paid by your employer. So effectively, it's only half of the 14.6% that you will have to pay if you're an employee. It looks a little bit different if you are self-employed. If you're self-employed, you will have to pay the whole amount by yourself. Another advantage of the public health insurance system is that you get free dependent insurance. That means your children are going to be insured for free as long as they're still little or as long as they're still in education and do not have their own salary yet. The same goes for your partner. So if you have a partner and they don't have any salary, then you can also insure them for free. If they do have a salary, then they need to get their own insurance because that's also again going to be paid through their employers, through the payroll system. That's a really, really nice advantage of the public health insurance system. Another advantage is that everyone is going to be insured, so there will be no pre-health check. And another advantage of the public health insurance system is that you don't have to pay anything in advance. So once you're insured, you're going to get a little card, and this card you take with you whenever you have to go to the doctor or to the hospital. And with this card, the doctor or the hospital, they can directly bill your insurance company, so you don't have to pay anything. Not 100% of all costs are always going to be covered. So for example, if you go to the hospital, you have to pay 10 euros a day. You're going to get an invoice for that later on. It's a standard fee. However, everything else is going to be covered in the hospital. And if you go to a doctor, normally everything is going to be covered by your health insurance. However, there are some voluntary treatments that you could choose to do. But in that case, the doctor would always tell you up front. That happens quite often at the dentist, or that the health insurance only covers basic treatments. But if you want better quality, for example, at the dentist, then you have to pay for that yourself. In that case, you make a contract with the dentist and you will get an invoice and then you pay the dentist directly. Now, let's talk a little bit about the disadvantages of the public health insurances. One, it can be quite expensive if you don't use it very much. If you're the type of person who has to go to the doctor very rarely, great, that's great for you. However, then you might pay a lot of money without using it. The reason for that is that it's a solidarity system, so everybody pays the same percentage, so the same amount, but depending on their income, they pay maybe a little bit more. So it could be that you're paying quite a lot if you are if you have a good salary, and you might not use it. Another disadvantage is that privately insured patients tend to get better treatment. They tend to get appointments a lot faster, and what we call privileged services. The reason for that is that with privately insured patients, the doctors can directly invoice them. They don't have to go through the insurance, and therefore they often get billed potentially quite high, and get faster appointments. Now, what's good to know is that the amount you're actually going to pay every month for the private health insurance depends on the kind of services that you choose and also on the health insurance that you choose. So in the beginning, you're going to make a contract with your private health insurance provider and you choose certain services. So for example, you can say you want a private bedroom in a hospital, though that's going to cost you a little bit more. You could choose a very, very good doctor, like a chief surgeon, for example, that you want to be treated by. And in those cases, your insurance is likely going to be a little bit higher. And there's also a certain amount that you have to pay yourself every year. So for example, you choose 1,000 euros, then up to 1,000 euros, all the invoices have to be paid by yourself first, and then you're going to get reimbursed only if you spend more than 1,000 euros. So generally with private health insurances, you get charged by the doctor, then you pay the doctor, and then at the end of the year, you are going to invoice all those invoices to your health insurance and they will reimburse you. But if you choose the amount of 1,000 euros, up to 1,000 euros you pay, and everything above that is going to be reimbursed to you by your private health insurance. But you might also choose a lower amount or a higher amount, and that definitely depends, or that definitely has influence on how much you're going to be paying every month. Now, something else you have to know about private health insurances is that you don't have a free dependent insurance. So if you have kids and you're privately health insured, you will have to pay for them extra. Same for a partner. A partner is also not going to be insured for free with your private health insurance. If you have a private health insurance and if your partner has a public health insurance, your children usually need to be insured with the private health insurance, even though there's a free dependent insurance with the public health insurance. They are not going to accept that if one of the partners has private health insurance. If you're an employee and you have chosen public health insurance, your employer is going to pay your public health insurance directly every month through your payroll. So you have a gross salary, 14.6% of that gross salary is going to be paid every month to your public health insurance. Half of that by you and half of that by your employer. So the amount you're going to see net on your payroll has already the health insurance contributions deducted. Public health insurances can charge you with an additional contribution. So this is on top of the 14.6% that everybody has to pay. So every health insurance charges you this contribution. However, the amount that they're charging you is slightly different. So it's not a huge difference. Some charge 0.8%, some charge 1.2%, and the maximum is usually around 1.6%. But it can make a difference at the end of the year if you're seeing how much you could be saving by choosing a cheaper insurance at the end of the year. Now, you're probably going to ask yourself, which public health insurance should I choose? So there are around 100 public health insurances in Germany, and they all offer the same treatments in general, the same benefits. This is regulated by the government, so everyone is offering more or less exactly the same services. But there's some details where you can choose your health insurance from. So for example, some health insurances offer additional benefits such as homeotherapy, orthopedist treatments, some offer reimbursement of a dental cleaning once a year, some don't. So it's really important that you do check which kind of extra services you like to use, so that you can get the best health insurance for yourself. Another thing to look into is the additional contribution that we talked about. Every health insurance charges something a little bit different. So you could actually save quite a bit of money at the end of the year if you compare correctly. Another benefit of some health insurances is that they offer something called a bonus system. So if you're living a healthy lifestyle, you go to the gym, you go to all your checkups, then you can get bonuses. And if you have done like all those different treatments and all those different checkups, at the end of the year, you're going to send your bonus book, we call it. It's a little bonus book. You're going to send it to the health insurance and you get a bonus for it. So it could be, for example, something like 30 up to 50 euros with most insurances that you get as a bonus. Something else that you should keep in mind, your dentist checkups are included with your public health insurance, as are basic treatments. However, dental treatments tend to be very expensive, so the public health insurances do not cover more expensive treatments. They are going to be charged to you and you will have to pay them yourself. So something that you could think about, if that's interesting for you, is to get a private additional dentist health insurance. The amount differs a lot. It differs on your age, for example, and also how much money you want to have reimbursed. So something like 80% of the treatment costs or 100% of the treatment costs. But if you do have potentially problems with your teeth, that could be something to consider. However, you have to get those insurances usually before the treatment gets started. Another tip that could be good for you in order to find the right health insurance is make sure those health insurances offer you services in English. Usually the large public health insurances offer services in English, so there's a hotline that you can call. They also have a homepage in English. I would recommend that for you, so that you can make sure there's always someone you can reach and talk to in English. Now, let's talk about the advantages of private health insurance. Generally, you're going to get preferential treatment. That means it's easier to get appointments, you get a faster appointments, and usually you get very good treatments. However, the disadvantage is that it's likely going to cost more, so you're going to be charged directly. You will have to pay those invoices up front. You are going to get reimbursed at the end of the year, but the amount you're going to get reimbursed depends on the amount you've chosen with your health insurance. So if you've chosen that up to 1,000 euros per year you're going to be paying by yourself, then you only get reimbursed if you spend more than 1,000 euros. Another advantage is that it could be potentially cheaper than public health insurance, especially if you're young, you're healthy, that you don't go to the doctors very much. Then this is going to very likely that this is less expensive for you than public health insurance, especially if you have a higher salary. However, on the other hand, if you get older, and that's a disadvantage, if you get older, your health insurance tends to increase, so you're going to be paying more and you might also use it more. So another disadvantage of the private health insurance system is that once you're in, you're in. It's going to be pretty difficult to switch back to public health insurance. As you get older, some people try to do that because it's going to get more expensive, they're going to get more sick, they will want to change, and it's only possible under certain circumstances. Another disadvantage of the private health insurance is that you're not going to get free dependent insurance. So if you have children or a partner who doesn't work, you will have to pay for their insurance. Something you need to know about a private health insurance is that there's going to be a health checkup before they accept you. So you will have to go to a doctor, there's going to be a checkup, they will have to do some tests, and you will have to complete a questionnaire. You have to be honest with this questionnaire. This is really, really, really important, because if you lie and later on you're going to be needing treatment based on that that illness, for example, that you haven't mentioned, you are going to have to pay potentially for that treatment yourself, and you might lose your health insurance cover, because the health insurance can decide to cancel the contract if you have lied in the beginning about your previous health history. Now, there's something else that's going to be important to know. There's an income threshold for the public health insurance contributions that you're paying. So the 14.6% are up to a salary of 58,050 euros. Now this amount changes every year, so it might be higher or it might be lower in the future, but right now it's at 58,050 euros. Up to that amount, the percentage of your salary that you're paying every month into the public health insurance is 14.6%. Above that amount, it's not going to increase. So it's going to be the same amount, but the percentage in comparison to your salary is going to be lower. So even if you have a salary, for example, of 70,000 euros gross, your public health insurance contributions are going to be calculated at a salary of 58,050 euros. Now, I hope that makes sense, but that means if your salary is around 58,000, apologies, then you're going to be paying the highest percentage amount in comparison to your salary for the public health insurance. But if your salary is higher, then you're actually going to pay a lower percentage in comparison to your salary. I have added some notes to the video notes below, and you can find there 2 comparison pages for looking for health insurances. One is focused on public health insurance and one is for private health insurances. You can compare all the different providers and hopefully soon find the right health insurance for you. Thank you so much for watching my first YouTube video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you found it useful. And if you liked it, please give this video a button up. And if you want to follow the channel to not miss any new videos that I'm always going to release on Tuesday, you can become a member of this channel. That would be amazing. And yeah, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you in the next video. If you have any ideas and or any suggestions of topics that you would like to see, send me a message and I will cover it in the future.